Hello, my wonderful viewers. Who wants to learn about some awesome alien species? Today we'll be taking a look at the ungulates, or rather the cuddle mops, or the cuddly aliens that seem to be a fan favorite in my Humans Are Weird series. We are going to look at their planet, at the forces that forged them, and basically what their general lifespan is like. But first, before we get into all of that, I have a very exciting announcement to make. October 2021, we will be doing an Indiegogo fundraiser for Humans Are Weird. We took a vote, the second book in my Humans Are Weird series. I've got some exciting news. The cover art is already done. I got the same cover artist. She's amazing. You can, Demon Artery, we met on YouTube, and I contacted her through Twitter, and I will be releasing the cover art as part of the Indiegogo campaign when we pass our first $100 in sales. And of course, the Indiegogo campaign donors will see it first, and then I'll release it for general consumption. To kind of build up hype for the book, and just because it's fun, I'm going every Friday for the rest of September. I'm going to be releasing one video on the planet that my alien species are from. The last week of September, it will be released on Thursday the 30th beforehand, just because the Indiegogo campaign starts on the 1st, that next Friday. Again, and today we're looking at the ungulates. We are going to look at their planet, the forces that forged them. But remember, I will have the pre-order link up for the Indiegogo campaign soon. And of course, once the Indiegogo campaign is over, the book will be available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo Books, and you'll always be able to order another copy from me. What you get for supporting the Indiegogo campaign is that you will get a physical copy of the book, a first edition printed at our local publishers, Maverick Printing in Bend, Oregon, and you'll also get all 4 electronic versions of the book. It's the same book, but you'll get all 4 electronic versions without the irritating limitations of a Kindle or Nook version. You will get a full copy of my author-read audio narration of the book. Now, I have some pretty big goals this time, but it's a pretty big stretch goal. If I make enough money past the initial printing costs of the book, I'm going to have a formal audio narration made. But I haven't got the exact numbers figured out, and we'll get into that once the campaign launches. But let's get into it. The ungulates, the cuddle mops. They are about the size of a bread box. They have no organs, and that's kind of their defining feature. I wanted to develop a creature without organs. And so these animals, they are a mass of appendages attached around a central core. And the core is kind of imaginary because it's just basically where all the appendages attach together. Each appendage has cells for eating, reproduction, elimination of waste, sight, touch, sound, smell. So they have all of the senses there. This species communicates primarily by touch. They have a sort of physical sign language where they brush up against each other, and when they're not physically touching, their whole body rotates. So their whole entire body is involved in language. So instead of body language just being a part of their language, body language is most of their language. They can, by tightening their muscle analog fibers, make their bodies vibrate and produce a voice, but that takes a lot of effort and a lot of concentration. It's also much easier in the water because they are a semi-aquatic species. They can exist out of the water for hours or even days at a time as long as they get proper hydration, just like a human, but they are most comfortable in the water because they have no bones or even cartilage. Moving on land is kind of a slow shuffling motion for them. They swim like those big feathery sea stars through the water. But what is their home planet like? Their home planet is a peculiar type of water world. It'd be difficult to call any one part of the surface land or water. You have a very stable planet. There is no tilt to the axis. There are no major tectonic plates. The molten crust gradually gives way to more and more permeable rocks, and the uppermost surface is primarily just constantly shifting sand, in which grows constantly moving coral forests. Now, they move slowly, so you could have entire generations of undulates who live in the coral forests. The undulate's lifespan is probably around 300 Earth years. They grow slowly, and so it's unlikely for a human to see a baby undulate, because most undulates don't come into space or leave their home world or primary colony world until they're fully mature, a process which can take decades. They even longer than, say, a hobbit's maturing process. So these undulates, they swim around. Now the actual water, what's just pure water, is very shallow compared to the oceans of Earth. You don't have any miles deep trenches or anything. The few trenches they have are fairly deep to them, but not very deep by Earth standards. The currents on this planet never flow very fast or strong, but they are essentially unimpeded because they flow through the coral. And so the currents keep the temperature very regulated. So even though there is a difference in temperature between the poles and the equator, it's not that major. There are more colder areas, especially at the poles near the surface, and there are hotter areas, especially way down deep beneath the depths. The undulates are slightly denser than water and will sink ever so slowly without a constant swimming motion. Because of these conditions, their bodies are incredibly resilient. Although their bodies will shut down and essentially go comatose if it gets too cold or too hot, they can survive in these comatose states for extremely long periods of time. Now, as to what they eat, they primarily eat the oils produced by the varying species of algae. On their planet, the majority of the food webs start with the thermal vents instead of the sun, because their sun is a red giant. It produces very little energy compared to Earth's sun, and so although there are some food webs that do capture the solar energy from the sun, most of the energy on their planet comes up from the thermal percolation. Because they have no major fault lines, the entire surface of the planet, it gently heats the bottom of the ocean, and the thermal effort and the minerals are constantly percolating back up from the surface. So this feeds the growth of the various coral reefs and the various algal blooms that the undulates have managed to domesticate and harvest. The undulates live very slow, lazy lives, and this has allowed them free time to think. So while their technological development has been much slower than human technological development, it has been much more stable, steadily growing out and extending outwards. Their ability to see is not nearly as directed as humans, and so they are able to see the stars. But it has been a matter less of the obsession for getting to the stars and more of just a slow, gradual, logical reaching out. They are very friendly, a very social species. If it ever gets cold, they deal with it by huddling together and cuddling together in large masses. And under certain conditions, you can get great supermasses of undulates just all cuddling together, entwining their appendages and swimming along. They do reproduce sexually. I have two distinct sexes in their species. But for most species, it's extremely hard to identify which sex the undulate is that you're talking to, because the differences manifest mainly on a biochemical level and not a obvious physical level. They will bud off new undulates, usually in groups of 1 to 5, depending on the nutrient availability and various other factors. Again, their lifespan is very long, very slow, very gradual. They lack the ability to understand parabolic vectors, i.e., they're not much good in a baseball or a dodgeball game because they can't really see the ball coming and calculate how to catch it in time enough to get it. They do understand falling and things coming at them, but because they really have no physical threats, and they didn't even understand crushing or impact damage until after their Industrial Revolution. This has led to them just never needing to develop the ability to, say, catch a ball. This is one of the aspects of humans that they find strange and delightful, and there's quite frankly nothing they like better than watching a game of catch. It just seems quite frankly near magical to them that the humans can do this. They highly value the humans for their thermal energy at night, and there have been a few unfortunate incidents where a cold undulate crawled onto a human's back in the middle of the night to get at that delicious thermal energy, and has what freaked out the human with 1,000 tiny pseudopods tip-tapping on their back, icy cold in the middle of the night. But in general, the human interactions with the undulates have been overwhelmingly positive, with the humans finding them cute, cuddly, and friendly, and the undulates finding them impressive, elegant, and useful. So that is a general analysis of the relationships between the undulates and the humans, what the home world the undulates come from, and their general life cycle. You can learn way more about this in either of my books. Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, a book of human absurdity, and you can find that one on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo by Rakuten, or you can just email me for an author-signed copy. Or you can, for the entire month of October, I will be running an Indiegogo campaign, and you will be able to get the second book in the series, Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote. And that one it will be available on Indiegogo starting October 1st. But after it is done in October, you will be able to find it on Amazon, of course, and Audible and all other audiobook platforms, Barnes & Noble, Kobo by Rakuten, and you will of course be able to order a first edition signed copy by me. That's Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, available in October. And peace out, my wonderful viewers.
The book from author Betty Adams, Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, is a humorous look at human behavior through the eyes of aliens. This book is arranged in separate reports or essays, documenting the experiences with humanity through the lens of the aliens who have to interact with them. This anthology of short stories and vignettes from alien points of view highlights some of humanity's quirks we can all relate to. Author Betty Adams captures how strange and interesting humans can really be. This is a fun collection of stories you will really get a kick out of. Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, from author Betty Adams. Order your copy right now on Amazon.